Hey guys, had a good day at work today, except one of my coworkers came in on his day off when he didn't have to. We got a lot of work in the shop, but still, I mean, I like my time off. And I asked him, "Why are you here?" And he said his wife had had a big blow up, and she got out of bed being demanding and unpleasant and irritating and bitchy and arguing with him, and then finally he just had enough, and he says, "Oh, okay, no problem. Fuck you. I'm going to work. No date night for you." And he left. And he got to talking about his, and that's good. I like that. If a woman's giving you a lot of trouble, put some limits on it. And my ultimate limit is, of course, not getting married. But his, I mean, he's managed. He says it's like, riding a ship in a storm. Because, I mean, one day about 4 years ago, he was leaving. Yeah, she was bitching at him, and suddenly something slammed into his left shoulder from behind. Apparently she had thrown something, and he didn't know how bad it was until he actually got to work, and he took his shirt off and checked himself out in the mirror, and he had a nasty friggin' bruise. She must have really thrown it, and thrown whatever it is must have had some heft to it. And he realized that he was in trouble, and he called the police and accused her, of course, of domestic violence, which she was guilty of. And she, of course, had the vagina pass, so therefore they didn't arrest her. But if he had done that to her, man, he'd have been in jail so fast it would have been ridiculous. I hate double standards. Anyway, then basically the police looked at his shoulder and then and took a picture, and then she and then talked mean to her for a while. But apparently that was enough, and he says she hasn't hit him or thrown anything since then. So man, another friend of mine, he had a horrendous dust up with his wife, and I can't remember exactly what it was, but she called the police on him, and he stood outside. He said he was told many times by a friend of his who is a police officer, don't leave the scene, or otherwise it's just like not coming to court without an attorney. You know, it's like you're unarmed. She can say anything at that point. And he explained the situation and didn't get arrested. She was using violence, and he was defending himself. That marriage didn't last. But man, if you're this video does not constitute legal advice, of course. But man, if you're in a situation like that, don't leave the house. I mean, don't leave the property. You can definitely leave the house and get out of her immediate situation. You know, and you'll have to put limits on her behavior. Like a friend of mine, his wife was looking forward to the date night, and he says, "No, you're being horrible," and he left. So my primary advice is don't get married. Secondary advice, if you are married, put limits on their behavior, because if you let them get away with it, it'll only get worse and worse. It's like bullying in high school or junior high for me. So yeah, I remember it well. Remember those tomatoes? I used half of them for this spaghetti sauce, and man, does it smell good. It's distracting. I looked at a couple YouTube videos and a few recipes, but I didn't want to do it the way they did it, because they basically boil down the tomatoes and it takes hours. I basically just took the tomatoes, dropped them in boiling water for about a minute until the skin started wrinkling. then they were easy to peel. Just throw them under the cold water like a boiled egg, and it basically just the skins come right off. Ouch! I'm going to make about 8 meals of spaghetti here, which I will freeze. But anyway, then they were really easy to peel, and then I threw the whole mess in my blender and blended them down, and then basically I also blended some garlic and an onion, and then I smoked that in the pan for a while until it would have turned translucent if it was still in one piece. Then I blended the tomatoes that I had peeled by then, dropped that in there, and it was probably up to the rivets here. And then I reduced it down by 50%, added a tablespoon of Italian seasoning, and boy, does it smell good. I'll have enough for maybe 2, possibly 3 containers of spaghetti. And then I thought I'd do a dry run. I mean, I'm only using half my tomatoes for this sauce, and if I like it, I'll do it again tomorrow. But if I don't, I'll try something else. I'm all about experimenting. Good times. Yeah, that's about it. Had a good day at work in spite of my friend's marital problems. And I will now finish my spaghetti.